Hey guys, welcome back to Revealing Biblical Truths. In this video, we'll be covering Jubilees chapters 25 through 29. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. In the last video, we went over chapters 21 through 24, where I talked about the death of Abraham, Isaac's blessing, and Esau selling his birthright. In this section, we'll be looking at Jacob taking Esau's blessing, Jacob going to Haran to find a wife, and the birth of his children. In chapter 25, Rivkah tells Yaakov not to take a wife from the Canaanites, but from one of their own family. Yaakov recalls that Rivkah's brother Laban has 2 daughters and had planned to take a wife from them. And also Esau told Yaakov to take a wife of his wife's sisters, but they were Canaanites, and Yaakov vowed not to heed to his brother's wishes. Rivkah then lifts her hands up and praises Yahweh, and then says it is the Ruach HaKodesh that filled her with words, and blesses Yaakov. In chapter 26, Yitzchak calls for Esau and tells him to go hunt for meat, and to make a meal for him with savory meat, and he will bless Esau before he dies. However, Rivkah overhears this, and devises a plan, which is really from Yah, to make it so that Yaakov gets the blessing instead. Yaakov hesitates and doesn't want to go through with it, and was afraid that his father wouldn't recognize him. Rivkah says that she would take the blame, but to trust her, and apply hair to his arms and disguise himself, to appear as Esau. Rivkah then prepares the meal. Yaakov went into his father with the meat, and it says that in verse 18, he discerned him not, because it was a dispensation from heaven, to remove the power of perception, and that Yitzchak discerned it not. After this, Yitzchak blessed Yaakov, and Yaakov left. Shortly afterwards, Esau returned from the field and brought the meat, but his father had already blessed Yaakov. Esau was beside himself, and cried, and asked for a blessing to be given to him, but his brother was already blessed. And after much pleading, Yitzchak prophesied about Esau, and this is what he said: Behold, far from the dew of the earth shall be thy dwelling, and far from the dew of heaven above. And by thy sword wilt thou live, and wilt thou serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou becomest great, and dost shake his yoke from off thy neck, thou shalt sin a complete sin unto death, and thy seed shall be rooted out from under heaven. From then on, Esau vowed to kill his brother. In chapter 27, Rivkah is miraculously given the words of Esau, and knows that he wants to kill Yaakov, so she tells Yaakov to go to Laban until his anger settles down. Yaakov hesitates, and says that if his father says to go, he will go. So Rivkah talks to Yitzchak, and he tells Yaakov to go to Laban and there to find a wife. In verse 19, it tells us that on the new moon of the first month of the 44th Jubilee, Yaakov came to Bethel and slept, with his head on a stone. It then says that a ladder was set up on the earth, and on the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Yahweh ascended and descended on it, and behold, Yahweh stood upon it. It could be implied here that the ladder reached all the way up to the firmament, but it is not explicitly stated. There, Yah tells Yaakov that he will bless him with seed, and he will be with him wherever he goes.
I am the Lord, the God of Abraham and your father Isaac. I will give this land to you and your descendants. They will be as countless as the specks of dust on the ground. And you will spread far and wide, to west and east, to north and south. All the families of the earth will long to be blessed, as you and your descendants are blessed. I shall be with you to protect you wherever you go, and I shall bring you back to this land. I shall not leave you until I have done what I promised you.
Then Yaakov awakes, but he's terrified, and he calls the place the gate of heaven. That's a very interesting description. Yaakov then puts the stone up as a pillar, and pours oil on it, and calls the place Bethel, or Beit El, the house of El. In chapter 28, Yaakov reaches Laban and works for 7 years for a wife. Yaakov thinks he's getting Rachel, but Laban gives him Leah instead. Leah was weak-eyed, and it is thought that she was this way due to her constant crying out to Yah. Laban says that it is not right for the younger to be given before the elder. It is also possible here that the daughters were twins, because we find out that Yaakov could not tell the difference between the two when he went into her. Following this, Yaakov has to work another 7 years to acquire Rachel for a wife, and also the livestock. Then also is given Bilhah and Zilpah, the handmaids. Leah then has 4 sons, which were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. It is interesting to note here that Levi was born on the new moon of the first month, or the first day of the year, and that Judah was born on the 15th of the 3rd month, which is also called the Feast of Shavuot or Pentecost. After this, Rachel was unable to conceive, so she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. She conceived and had Dan and Naphtali. And then Leah couldn't have any more, so she gave him Zilpah, her handmaid, for a wife, and she conceived and bore him Gad and Asher. Then Leah again was able to conceive, and had Yishakar and Zebulun and Dinah. It is noted here that Zebulun and Dinah were born on the same day, meaning they were twins. Then Rachel had Joseph. And after this, Yaakov asked Laban to give him his wages and ventured to leave and go back to his father. In chapter 29, Yaakov saw Laban shearing his sheep, and he took off with his wives and left and didn't tell Laban. Laban soon realized that he was gone and pursued after him. And on the 15th of the 3rd month, also called Shavuot, Yaakov made a feast to Laban and a heap of witness, and they both promised each other not to cross that point or to harm each other. It says before this time that the land was called Gilead, the land of the Rephaim, because the Rephaim were there and they were born, and they were giants. It says that they were 7 to 10 cubits tall, and by our current standard, that would be between 10 and 15 feet tall. They occupied the land between Ammon and Mount Hermon, which is the mountain that the watchers descended on in the days of Jared. It is then said that Yahweh killed them because of their sins, and the Amorites then occupied it afterwards. After this, Laban returned to his home, but Esau came and reconciled to his brother, and then he went back to his home in Seir. After Yaakov arrived where he was going to stay, he visited his parents, and then gave them goods and food from time to time. While he was at Laban's, Esau then took himself a wife from the daughter of Ishmael, so their family was intermingled. And that ends chapter 29. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Shalom.